You know, Bobby, when I was a boy, I used to love to catch flies. And when I caught them, I didn't like to kill them right away. What I did was I'd tear the legs off of them, and I'd let them fly around till they couldn't fly anymore. Then when they dropped to the ground, I'd rip a wing off, and I'd watch them quiver and hurt and pain. And then I'd whip another wing off, and I'd just watch them quiver. And then I watched, and when I got sick of watching them, Bobby, I squashed them. So what I mean to tell you, Snooka, is the end might not come real quick, but the end is gonna come.
So what you're trying to tell me, there's a good chance at the end of this match at WrestleMania, you could have fly on your shoes.
Super.
On this stage here tonight, but I want y'all to know one thing. This is my house, and when I say who's
word attack skills and vocabulary new. All the hits in this edition is all brand new. You're through. I'm interplanetary like Doctor Who. So who?
Fuck your beat, no relief. I step on stage, girls scream like I'm Keith.
What's up, everybody? Ringtime Pro Wrestling is at it again. Keith is riding solo in the building. Keshia is enjoying herself in a foreign land that is undisclosed, but I'm not going to tell you where she at because I don't know who y'all are. Y'all might be crazy. So she'll talk about it when she get back. But we are here to preview WWE's Hell in a Cell. So for the past 2 weeks, we have not had a lot of WWE talk. This week, we are here. We are ready. It's basically just going to be a WWE show. If you've listened to this show long enough, you know my opinion about Hell in a Cell as a pay-per-view. I feel like it has taken the bite out of the match. I think it takes the significance away from the match, having it as a pay-per-view, because it's a scheduled match every year. I think it oversaturates the idea of having a match like Hell in a Cell, because it's like, every year it's on schedule. There's no build-up. Like, it's not. I liked it better when it was a surprise. So, two guys have a feud. It's starting to go long. They've been at it for about 7 months. Titles have been lost. Titles have been won. There's a lot of times there's no definitive clear winner. A lot of people like to cheat. And then that GM comes down and say, we're going to sell this once and for all with Hell in a Cell. That's how that's supposed to roll. But I am going to go down the line and talk about the show and the card and the matches to the best of my ability. Thank you, everybody who has listened every week and downloaded. We appreciate you. Go to iTunes, subscribe, give us a 5-star review. Don't do the 4 stars because that makes you a hater. And if you like the show, tell a friend. If you don't, keep it to yourself. So here we are. And I think I'm just going to jump right into it. We'll talk news. We'll do birthdays and all that stuff. But also, 2 weeks out, my birthday. We'll probably have a show. 39th birthday of the guy who started this thing. I ain't going to talk too much more about that because then it sounds a little pretentious. So Raw opens up with Braun, Dolph and Drew. They come down. And they got all the heels with them. So, if you remember last Raw, prior, they all beat down the Shield. Shield came back from their arrest. They was going to fight 3 guys at the top of the card. Then the rest of the heels came down for the locker room and beat them up. So, they sell it as the locker room jumped on the Shield, but none of the baby faces got involved. This week or last week, like the baby faces are totally absent. Bobby Lashley don't want to get involved, even though he probably wants to beat down Kevin Owens. You know what I mean? Like, it would make sense. Finn Balor can't stand the GM. Well, acting GM. Might want to get involved. This way, hey man, we can set up some kind of crazy match later on down the line. But, that being said, right now, the main beef is still between Braun, Dolph, and Drew. This is what's crazy. So, it's kind of facilitated a heel turn for Braun Strowman when he was on fire as a babyface. But, that's always a good time to turn somebody heel, right? Is it helping the Shield? Well, is it helping Roman Reigns? Because that's what we got to ask. The Shield is kind of over being the Shield. Is it helping Roman Reigns? I don't know. But what I will say is, it seems like some herky-jerky writing. Because, okay, even to this point, Braun Strowman is the heel, but he has a point. And what I mean by that is this. He wanted to cash in Money in the Bank. He wanted to cash it in straight up. He tried to cash it in at the pay-per-view. Brock, kind of derailed that, and Roman ran away with the belt. Monday Night Raw, after the match with Finn, hey, Braun wants to cash in. The Shield comes down and ruins that. And they triple powerbomb Braun. That's some heel type shit. The babyface champion, the face of the company, had to get saved by his two friends. Kind of reeks of heel. Braun makes an unholy alliance with two heels who, one is very popular, one people don't know what to think of right now. And now they are formidable enough to shut down this threat of the Shield. Because the Shield thrives on the numbers game. So now, with it being even, the monster may even have an advantage. Okay. It sounds like an alliance of convenience. And the other heels joining in, they've all taken Shield beatdowns in the past, so they all have, some PTSD that they want to exercise, and they want to, not, hey, you guys can't just keep running roughshod over this place. Mind you, it is a crew who has the two top singles titles on the show. Now, where this feud can get interested and where it can be fun is that with Drew and Dolph having the tag titles, all the titles can end up in play between these six people. But that also means now you're going to have to find a way to work people out, not this six, into that at some point. But I don't think they're in a bad place. There was a time I felt like they were in a bad place. This doesn't feel like a bad place. I feel like you can work with this. So we'll see where it goes. Nikki Bella defeated Ruby Riott, as her and her sister have fought the Riott Squad the past couple of weeks since they have made their returns to Raw. Which also, have we noticed that Brie Bella is running two completely separate feuds simultaneously on two different shows? So on Raw is her and her sister taking on the Riott Squad. On SmackDown is her and her husband against Miz and Maryse. And hey, sometimes Andrade and Zelina Vega get involved. Crazy. It's like Brie been gone for a couple of years and was like, look, I'm getting all my time back. Bernie got to chill with whoever babysits while they on the road. Maybe Bernie travels. I don't know. For all intents and purposes, because the WWE is a very family-oriented shop, she can travel, and Nikki watches her on SmackDown, and Nia Jax watches her doing Raw. Who knows? But yeah. So that happened. Big Show comes out with the Connor's Cure kids. And I want to say that flippantly. I think they're doing a good job with that. And it was a lot of local kids from Louisiana. It appears that Louisiana and New Orleans in particular is becoming one of their towns, man. I think they're really starting to embrace it. They're really starting to love that as one of their towns. Kind of funny because, well, not funny. Here's the thing. I think that town is ripe. It has always been ripe for wrestling. Watts had the territory the hottest, and I don't know if anybody's been able to deal with that since. And I don't know if anybody will, because the way the nature of wrestling is now. See, the thing with territories and when cities were hot, especially for a particular organization, it's because that organization ran that city once a week. But now, you see the WWE, they're like the circus. They're like Barnum and Bailey. It's like, oh, well, they come around every year about this time. So, but we'll see. Like I said, I think they appear to be embracing them as a city, and I think they want to do a lot more in that place. But I'm deal with that. AOP defeats some jobbers. Triple H showed up to talk about the Undertaker. After Undertaker and Shawn Michaels had a very interesting conversation last week, Triple H decided to come in and state his ideas on that conversation. And once again, something I've harped on for the last 3 weeks. Why are we giving this match so much attention? What, this pay-per-view, just like the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view, I thought took the teeth out of the previous and succeeding pay-per-views that came after. Because to try to maintain integrity of the storyline and take care of some things, you don't want to do too much at your pay-per-view, but you don't want to do too much at your forward show. And then after that, you got to tie it all up again at the pay-per-view after that. It gets a little weird. That's all. So going into October is, I guess, what is going down. But I get to, maybe this is the idea. That match is getting so much hype because of where it's going down. It's going down in Australia. And when they tune in, they want to see people they know. They want to hear about the names they know. Because despite how old these guys are, and despite the fact that they haven't both had a full-time schedule in the last like 3 or 4 years, despite that, I mean, I think their feud is very one-sided, and I don't think there's a lot there between them two. I think once they had their last match as a Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania, I don't think you even reapproach that. Like, I think you leave that with Shawn being there as a special guest referee, them carrying out each other. I think you did it there. But once again, I think they needed a match. I guess Cena's not going to be in Australia, and they need to sell this thing as best they can. Because the last one is Saudi Arabia was basically Cena Triple H, even though it was an opening match, kind of pushing that. And I mean, there was the Brock Roman thing, which was a legitimate thing. So we'll see. KO attacks Tyler Breeze, talks about why he came back. Bobby Roode and Chad Gable racking up some wins. They beat up the Ascension, who will never be a credible tag team. Good God, their career is terrible. You gotta split them up and get them new gimmicks, because even the gear, it's just like, I can't take them serious. Ronda Rousey and Natalya defeated Alexa Bliss and Mickie James in the tag match. Foley revealed he'll be the special guest referee for Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. Foley, Hell in a Cell legend. 20 years ago, they're celebrating his infamous cage dive. They're taking throws him off the cage. He goes through 2 tables. And when a normal man would have been dead, Foley gets up, climbs back to the top of the cage, and continues to wrestle until he gets chokeslammed through the top of the cage. And, of course, then they get to the part where there's tacks and all that stuff, because we got to throw tacks in the match, which, if you want to know something that infuriates me and something I hate to see in any wrestling match, it is thumbtacks. I don't care what the stipulation is. I don't care if it's a hardcore loser loses his life match. None of that. I hate thumbtacks. First of all, I feel like it just visually as a spot, it just like, ugh. Yuck. For the person, hey, I mean, you can bleed how you want to bleed. You know, you want to get stuck by 1,000 pins, that's up to you. But it's just not good to look at. And I don't think it adds anything to any match at any time. Right? Because if you went to a match that's supposedly hardcore, and I want to say that like a genre, getting whacked with a chair, legally, a kendo stick, which is one of my favorite props, things like that, work out. They work out. These tacks, man, oh, they disgust me. But neither here nor there. Foley will be the ref. Finn Balor defeated Elias. Foley was there for that. And, I mean, the show ends with Braun walking around mad and wanting to fight Roman Reigns. Because, of course, the Shield buddies that beat up Drew and Dolph earlier that night. So, Braun don't want to be a Vic. Braun wants to go ahead and take advantage of this himself and be the man who gets out ahead of this. And they brawl a little bit. They end up at the top of the thing, on the top of the ramp. And Roman hits him with a Samoa drop after Braun was going to try to put him through the table. And Roman left standing tall. Will that be how Sunday rolls? I don't know. That match has a lot of intrigue to me, and I'll tell you why later. If you haven't noticed, on Raw, Renee Young has now become a permanent member of the announce team, which I think we're excited about here. If you listen to Retire Pro Wrestling, you know we are very, very high on Renee Young. You think she has a lot of potential. The sky's the limit. I'm glad the WWE starting to see what they can do with her. Because honestly, I didn't think she was going to be here this long. I thought when they had that partnership with ESPN, I thought they were going to snatch her up. I thought ESPN would have grabbed her and tried to do something and, put up some money. But of course, they go through their own thing, so who knows. But Renee, Coach is still with the company. Coach will show up at pay-per-views, and he'll do a lot of stuff that Renee used to do during pay-per-views and stuff like that, and a lot of the interview segments. I think he has a lot of outside stuff going on. Like last week, I was watching the Long Drive Championships on the Golf Channel, and I heard a voice. I'm like, that sounds familiar. It was Coach. I'm like, oh, that's what he's doing. That's why he was away. And I think he probably got a few other projects like that so he needed some freedom where he could not always be tied down. I think it's a good spot for it. I think it's just a good change in the voices and hearing what's going on. Renee is very logical and controlled. I like, as of right now, they are not mentioning that she's married to Dean Ambrose. They're not bringing Ambrose and her together or anything like that. Nobody's running up on her like, I'm beating up your husband. What you gonna do about it? I would like them to act like that doesn't exist. I think it's better for her. I think it's better for Ambrose. And, of course, it's something I probably just don't like in the product as a whole. Unless that person is branded as something else and that's different. But I'm kind of glad they're kind of going around it this route. With that being said, we 18 minutes in. I'll go on to SmackDown. We'll take our break. We'll talk birthdays. We'll talk news. And a funny story in the news. Actually hilarious. Also, I will tell you how the WWE is messing up because of a relationship that they just don't seem to want to cultivate correctly. And I can tell you why a guy takes it a little personal. So, with that being said, let's get into SmackDown. Jeff Hardy defeated Shinsuke Nakamura via DQ. That DQ, of course, is coming because Randy Orton came down. And then, of course, they had a brawl, and Jeff got the better of Randy finally. They have a match scheduled for Hell in a Cell as a Hell in a Cell match. Now, you want to hear my critique of that? First of all, I feel like this whole show, they have some of the best things going in wrestling, and they don't know what to do. All right, so Randy Orton inserted himself into Shinsuke Nakamura, Jeff Hardy's beef, and not going after the U.S. title really is a mistake, and I think it doesn't do Shinsuke no favors. So you keep getting rescued by a guy who's crazy. Who's his match at the pay-per-view? We going into a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. The U.S. champion, they defended the belt. Seems like a raw idea. Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton are having a Hell in a Cell match based on their feud. when the world champ is not having a Hell in a Cell match at a Hell in a Cell? That might make more sense. The two top prizes in the game are both being defended inside the cell. It won't be redundant, just kind of a thing. So I just right, and this one just I don't know why. AJ Styles talked to Samoa Joe. Charlotte Flair defeats Sonya Deville. She is then attacked by Becky Lynch in disguise. Now, this might be the best thing going. The Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair feud might be the most interesting over all the shows. At least over SmackDown or Raw. One, I believe that shit. I don't know why, man, but Becky has turned it up. I think this is a great move for her because I believe this. Like, I believe she is legitimately mad and she feels trashed over and she feels like Charlotte done played her. Charlotte still feels like she's the queen. Charlotte thinks she's the best in the business. I mean, this one has like some legit heat. And this one can actually do good in the cell. Because the history is long, even in retrospect to this show, right? So if you're just talking about SmackDown is one thing. But these guys have been at it since NXT. On the Raw, I mean, like, we've got an arc that we can play with. Rusev Day defeats the Bar. They are the new number one contenders for the tag team titles. They will face the New Day at Hell in a Cell. Could Rusev Day finally be the start? I don't know. Could they? It'd be nice if they get the push. Cien Almas defeats R-Truth, which now that one is interesting. I think Andrade is they figured out, hey, we gonna either shit or get off the pot on this one. Like, I think they decided right now, we're gonna find out what this kid got. I'm still not, overly, and I feel like I can just buy the drinks in bulk and all that, but beside the point. Nah, I mean, there doesn't really be much. With that being said, it's time for the break. Did I find good break music? Probably not. Did I find a good promo to leave y'all with for the break? Probably not. But due to modern technology, we can do that and get y'all somewhere. I don't even know what I'm going to play. I'm going to play something at random. Why? Because it is fun to do things like that. So, who knows?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell, Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express are ready to take on the world.
Let me tell you something, we are going to take on the world. We already have taken over the world. We're the World Tag Team Champions, the hottest commodity in wrestling. The time in that Philadelphia Civic Center when Beautiful Bobby came off that top rope, landed on Arn Anderson's head. It changed in that brief moment the entire face of professional wrestling. We beat the odds, we beat the system, we beat the unbeatable team. Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, what you beat was a hasty retreat, brother. And in that same instant, Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan became recognized. We got the proof, brother. It ain't bragging, it's fact. We're the #1 tag team in professional wrestling. You want to talk about diversity club, brother? Rick Steiner won a letter in football, had to have somebody read it to him. You want to talk about Mike Rotundo? He loved school. High school was the happiest 9 years of Mike Rotundo's life. But let me tell you something, Varsity Club, and that little troll, Kevin Sullivan, don't come after us, brother, because we'll put you in the ground like a stake and make you 2 feet tall instead of the 4 feet 6 you are right now, Sullivan. Let me tell you something else while we're at it. Dusty Rhodes and any of his super partners, you're more than welcome to try. Already talked about the Fantastics. Already talked about the Road Warriors. Already talked about those sheep-shearing sheep herders. I'll give you something to shear, brother. The Midnight Express. If you can clip their wings, you're doing something, because we're the hottest thing going today, like it's been so often said. And J.J. Dillon, the 1988 poster boy for Alzheimer's disease, I heard you say that you're going to redeem yourself at my expense. Well, brother, the only thing J.J. Dillon is going to redeem is going to be some of those S&H green stamps he's been saving up. Get him a lawn chair for his old age, which began in 1957. So, J.J. Dillon, you are a victim of sour grapes, brother. You're a sore loser, just like all the losers are. But when it comes to the Midnight Express, that's all we wrestle as losers, because can't nobody beat us. This is unheard of. This has never before been done, never before even been attempted. All these championships, all these honors, and all these accolades, and whether you like the Midnight Express or not, the one thing you love the Midnight Express. Well, we love the Midnight Express too, and we don't care who else does, because we're out for ourselves, and we're out for one thing only, and that's to keep this glory. And whether you like it or not, you've now got to admit what I've been saying all along is the truth, because we got the proof. We're the #1 tag team in professional wrestling, and everybody else is playing catch-up now. It's been too long, David Crockett, since we started saying that we were the best, that everybody's been doubting us. Everybody's been saying, Cornette, you're just going off. It ain't true. Well, now, finally, no matter where you are in the world, even your little pea-brain, David Crockett, and that little weasel face of yours has to admit that we are the best of all time. We are #1. We're on top of the heap. And the only thing that's going to make it even sweeter, maybe, is when we get all these commercials and all these endorsements that are coming up. And most of all, when we go home and my mother says, Jimmy, you done a good job. And Bobby and Stan, I always knew you could do it. My mother being proud of me, that's going to be the best thing. Whoa! I'm a kid. I'm a kid. Oh, my God.
All right, everybody, we are back. Birthdays, very short list. Yesterday, well, not yesterday, actually, day before yesterday, we went Wednesday, Baron Corbin celebrated a birthday. The GM is now 34. Today, Saturday, when you guys probably download this show, reach out to Theodore R. Long, Hall of Famer, Teddy Long, player, SmackDown GM extraordinaire, former referee, former manager of the Skyscrapers, manager of Doom. Reach out to Teddy. Tell him what's up, man. Happy birthday. Teddy getting up there. Teddy is, hold on, let me do the math. Let's see. 71, Teddy? 71? Hey, man. Long life, bro. Adrian Adonis, his birthday. I'm not going to say he will be celebrating because I'm not sure if Adrian Adonis is alive. And because I got some other things queued up on the internet, don't exactly want to look that up. That's it. The birthdays go quiet. But then on the 17th, Monday, Jim Cornette celebrates his birthday. James E. Cornette will be 57. Shout out to Jim. He's one of my favorite guys in this game that's ever done it. Got the pleasure to meet him about 4 years ago. Took some pictures, had a nice time chopping it up with him. And, I mean, he is one guy who, he doesn't get out much anymore to these fan fests, but he does come out. If you get a chance to see him, go see him. Go kick it. Trust me, what is well worth it? Jim gonna talk to you. Jim ain't like some of these other guys where they be like, oh, well, thank you, and move on so I can get some more money. Nah, bruh. He gonna sit there and kick it. Like, he'll be like, hey, you remember that? You remember this? He'll be talking. That dude is a wrestling encyclopedia also. Like, he remembers everything and knows a lot about a lot of things in a lot of territories. I recommend his podcast, The Jim Cornette Experience. Now, it ain't always about wrestling, and sometimes wrestling don't even get talked about. But, man, if you hear him talk about politics, it is hilarious and informative. You didn't expect Jim Cornette to have the politics that he does, but he does, and I mean, it's just a guy that I like. That's all. It is business. It's a guy I like. So we'll go there. Now on to the news. One of my favorite times is the news. So Ric Flair got married this week, or weekend. Mind you, This is wife number 5. If you remember watching the 30 for 30, he actually used to refer to his wives by the numbers. This is wife number 5. Now, this one we believe can last. 1, due to the health scare that he has been through. Hey, Nate ain't nature no more. He ain't drinking no more. Nothing. So, and I think that might be his saving grace. Because the last other wives, it was because Nate was still nature. It wanted to be Nate. And it was like, hey. But I don't know how much he done toned it down. Because, hey, when Flair rolled down the aisle at his wedding, this is how he came out. Yes, Ric Flair walked down the aisle to his wedding in an all-white suit with the song Ric Flair Drip playing in the background. Yep, that's Ric Flair. 100% always the nature boy. Congratulations, Rick. I hope, you enjoy yourself, man. We are very happy that you are still with us because that scare that we had a while back. Whew. Anyway, so let's talk some fun. I'm trying to think, do I want to go boring or serious? Let's have fun. So, Bruce Pritchard tells a story that is very interesting. So, while hanging out in New York, he gets picked up by an Uber driver. Oh, for those of you who don't know, Bruce Pritchard, wrestling legend, former WWE exec, has a podcast called Something to Wrestle About because the guy has been all over all the territories, have worked with everybody that you could ever work with, learned the game under Paul Bosch out in Houston, went to work for Vince McMahon. You may know him if you grew up in the 80s as the Brother Love. I Love You, which was a play on the television evangelist of the day, even though he never really went as an evangelist. But Bruce, man. Anyway, he tells the story of getting picked up by an Uber driver who said he was the Undertaker's son. Now, what that Uber driver didn't know, he didn't know nothing about Bruce Pritchard or the podcast or anything like that. He also didn't know that Bruce knows the Undertaker and would text him and talk to him. And Bruce texted Taker and said, hey man, I'm in the car with your son. Now, this story might be the most hilarious thing I've ever heard. Which, I think if you're going to lie about wrestling, you should at least be a smart fan. Just because. Let me give you Bruce's rundown of the story. So he's in the car, and the guy didn't know who he was. The guy said he was celebrating his 24th birthday, which is coming up. Now, he said he wasn't aware of Taker having any children or whatever. The guy said Taker met his mother back in the day of Studio 54. Now, here is your fate's fatal flaw in your lie, sir. You're 24 years old. If your mom was kicking it at Studio 54, you'd be 44. You know what I mean? Because that's when Studio 54 was in its heyday. It wasn't. Nobody was going to Studio 54 in the 1990s. Disco was far gone by then. Hanging out the Andy Warhol days of Studio 54. Man, no. What the hell are you talking about? I watched the whole doc on Studio 54. 70s, bruh. Not 90s. You are... Okay. So there's that. Secondly, if it would have been back then, Taker... Okay, so... You met your mom, da-da-da. She got pregnant with the baby out of wedlock. Taker's on the road. He said he knows this is true because his dad, the guy who raised him as his dad, is best friends with the Undertaker's brother Kane. Okay, this is where the hilarity comes in. Sir, they're not real brothers. I hope I'm not playing any inside baseball. I hope I haven't devastated any of you. They are not actual brothers. Undertaker, real name, Mark Calloway, born in Texas. Kane, real name, Glenn Jacobs. You may have heard of him. He is the now mayor-elect of Knox County. He's from Tennessee. No, they are not legitimately related. But you said your dad was best friends with Kane. Like, Kane ain't a person under that. Yep. I'm going to tell you this. I'm glad Bruce kept his composure and finished that Uber ride. Because a lot of us would be dead. Because a lot of us would have said, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. You gotta be crazy. And this guy is obviously batshit crazy. And may or may not try to kill you after you acknowledge that he's batshit crazy. So, yeah. Fortunately for Bruce knew how to navigate and get himself out of there alive. Bruce also adds a detail saying that, hey man, I'm looking at the kid right now, but he don't look nothing like the Undertaker. He was like, actually, the guy kind of looks like he could be Mark Henry's little brother. So, that means he's a black dude that didn't do nothing. So, yeah. That's funny. Now, on a more serious note, the WWE, according to Batista, has not offered him an invitation to show up at SmackDown 1000, the 1000th episode of SmackDown. It has been, you know what that 1000 show is? Washington, D.C., Batista's hometown. I think Batista is one of the top 3 people that's important to the SmackDown brand as a whole and legacy. When he came to SmackDown, came voluntarily. They wanted to put Cena on Raw. They wanted to put the world champ on SmackDown since Cena's going to Raw. And that was the rocket ship. That being said, Dave Batista was probably the most credible second champion at a company. And what I mean by that, when WWE was running the 2 titles and they separated and stuff like that, Batista running as the world champion, I think was always credible. And his matches were always credible. And he had some classics with Taker and, on the side, whatever. So, here's where I would draw the line. Dave, I thought they blew it with him in 2014 with Guardians of the Galaxy. They did not promote Guardians. They probably told him they would, but they didn't. And they didn't see the value in it because somehow somebody working with Vince McMahon did tell him that Marvel movies are crazily popular. It definitely reaches a demographic that he can use. Y'all love kids, man. Get somebody with people. Oh, God, it's so easy. Anyway, y'all didn't promote Guardians. Became the biggest movie that summer. He's got 2 kids' rooms, and I just don't know what to say. It's kind of like y'all should probably have invited the man. His matches with Taker, his feud with Taker and Edge being a part of that triangle, I think really helped that show. And really, really drove, especially in the earlier years. Because The Rock had been gone and they didn't have anything. And that Rock's probably the most important thing to SmackDown. But somewhere behind there, yeah. So, that's that. But yeah, they fuck it up. So, let's go. Hell in a Cell. If you hear typing in the background, that's me. But Hell in a Cell. A gimmick match to end all gimmick matches. Basically what we're going to do, we're going to take a steel cage match. But you don't win this match by escaping. You win this match by beating the hell out of your opponent. To the point maybe they can't continue. 4 sides locked on the top. Supposed to be locked on the outside. People still get out. People end up on top because they think it's cooler. That's where they get ruined. So, we're going to go down the match and break it down. Like I said, the event, it became a pay-per-view somewhere around, I can tell you the year, probably 2013 or something like that. So let me give you a list. The first ever Hell in a Cell match is Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels wins because Kane shows up and it gets kind of muddy, but they were having a hell of a match. 29-minute match. Stone Cold is Undertaker and Stone Cold defeat Mankind and Kane on Raw. That wasn't really necessary. Undertaker and Mankind. That's the June 28th match that, at King of the Ring in Pittsburgh, the kind of, the legendary dive off the cage. There's Mankind versus Kane. That really doesn't matter. 1999, Undertaker takes on Boss Man at Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania. Undertaker has participated in 2 Hell in a Cell matches that took place at WrestleMania. This one, he defeated the Boss Man and may have hung him in the cell. Not probably the best look. Triple H defeated Cactus Jack in 2000, and that's the one where Cactus had to retire. Hell of a match. I think this is one of the better all-time Hell in a Cells. The great 6-pack challenge match where Kurt Angle defended his belt against Undertaker, Triple H, Stone Cold, Rikishi, and The Rock. 2002, Triple H versus Chris Jericho, I think was a really good one. Undertaker versus Brock was good in 2002 also. So they've had a lot of good matches, but at that point between 1997 and 2002 and 2003, there had only been like 10 of those matches, which is a lot, but not that much. Man, it just skyrockets. After 2011, which is probably the establishment of the pay-per-view, it just goes to hell, man. It is just, we've had 40 matches. So some have meaning, some don't. It's just not the same. One of my favorites is probably the Usos versus the New Day in a tag team Hell in a Cell match. Also, quiet as kept, the New Day have defended the tag team titles each of the last 4 years at Hell in a Cell. So, but yeah. But let's get into their matches. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre will defend the tag team titles against Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. I don't think Seth and Dean win this one. If they do, it might be disqualification, something like that. But I think Drew and Dolph will hold on to the belts, and that challenge will come again later. Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's title. This will be probably the most intense match of the night. So, I'm going to go with Charlotte. Charlotte keeps the belt. I think this feud has legs, and I think it's just the beginning. So, Charlotte will keep the title. Jeff Hardy will take on Randy Orton in Hell in a Cell. I think Randy Orton wins because he's Randy Orton. There ain't too much to that. Randy, I think, is 3-0 in the cell, so he does have experience. Jeff Hardy, I think, has been in the cell also, but go on, Randy. AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship. I don't think AJ loses at this one. I think AJ will lose it at the next pay-per-view. Yeah. I'm going to say AJ Styles retains the title. Like, I'm not giving up a belt yet. Ronda Rousey will defend the Raw Women's title against Alexa Bliss. Ronda ain't losing nothing. She just got the belt. Even despite that big match. Yeah, so I think where we're going to go is Ronda's going to beat Alexa. And then we'll see what's next. Because they have to satisfy this rematch clause and that kind of thing, right? The New Day defends the tag team titles against Rusev Day for SmackDown. I think Rusev Day gets it. They looked impressive against the Bar. They looked impressive in Triple Threat to get this match. And I think they have a nice dynamic with Lana and the boys. And Rusev Day is over, man. That thing is over like Rover. And I think it'd be a disservice for them not to get the belts. So far, I got Dolph and Drew keeping theirs. Charlotte keeps hers. There's no belt. AJ's keeping his. Ronda's keeping hers. New Day. Sorry. Somebody got to lose a belt. I think it's going to be New Day. Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella take on The Miz and Maryse in the couples mixed match challenge. You know what Vince McMahon is saying? Too bad them kids ain't old enough. And I don't mean like adults. If Maryse and Bertie were like, because Bertie's probably a year older, 2 years older. If Monroe and Bertie were both on a plane together to come back and were, I would say they'd run with it. Like literally, if we said, hey, 9-year-old Bertie and 8-year-old Maryse, they'd be in a match. They didn't have to be adults. They'd be in a match. It would be the first ever 6-man tag family match. Husband, wife, daughter, because they both got daughters. First ever tag match of that. Yeah, that would probably happen. Vince would even have the babies out there. That's stuff that people, do at the park or whatever, but like legitimate business. Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman in Hell in a Cell. Alright. People who've cashed in the Cell have a 50% chance when they give the opponent prior notice. Roman had super implied notice. That being said, this is hard because I think you don't want to discourage the idea of Money in the Bank. It's a little early for Roman to drop the title, and I think that's one of the things I'm facing this on. But if this is going to be a part of ongoing feud, hey, if Braun gets that Universal title, his crew got all the chips, except for one. Alright. But, I think I'm going to go Braun. I was thinking Roman Reigns the whole time, but I think I'm going to go Braun Strowman. Just because, I think you don't want to undermine the credibility of the Money in the Bank cash in. So, with that being said, I think we're going to wrap this show up. Like I said, Braun and his clique, if they have control of all the titles, Raw seems like a dangerous place for baby faces. Especially if Drew and Dolph win via some shenanigans early in the show. Since a lot of people aren't going to be losing their title, hey man, say the best for last. But we'll talk about it. We'll be back next week to recap, see what we got right, what we got wrong. We appreciate y'all listening. And with that, we're going to say peace. Peace.